Hi, today we're going to go ahead and show you how easy it is to move your programming from your XDS receiver to the Dial Global satellite receiver. Dial Global receiver is going to offer you many features that aren't available on other platforms, so I'm sure you're going to enjoy the process. We have currently our XDS receiver that we used, and we're going to go ahead and disconnect the old receiver and move to the new platform. The first thing you're going to want to do in this process is disconnect power from the receiver so that we don't damage anything. So we'll go ahead and pull the power connector out of the old receiver. And we'll leave that disconnected through this entire process. The next step is to move the coax cable that connects to your dish. That's located over here. So to remove it, we'll just unscrew it, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And it's down here on the Dial Global receiver, so we're going to tighten it. I like to do my connectors finger tight. I've seen people use wrenches and actually break the connectors together. With F connectors like satellite dishes use, there's no advantage to going any tighter than finger tight. The Dial Global receiver offers you two security options. There's a WAN connector on the top, wide area network, and a LAN connector, local area network. The WAN connector is if you are going to install the receiver on the public internet and it does not have a firewall to protect it. That means that the receiver will only communicate outbound to the network, but nobody can connect into the receiver. We're behind a firewall here and protected, so we're going to use the LAN connector. That allows me to browse to the receiver from my PC and go ahead and check operation. So we'll simply take our Ethernet connector, push it in. The audio connectors are the same pinouts through most satellite receivers, including the XDS and the Dial Global receiver. So we'll simply unplug the audio connector from the old receiver, connect it to Dial Global. Pinouts for the relays are identical between the Dial Global receiver and the XDS receiver. Now, the XDS does have the ability that you can map your relays, so it does not follow a standardized format, and this makes it difficult on the pinouts. The Dial Global follows a standard convention that you can look up in your installation instructions as far as pin-for-pin compatibility. Chances are you're going to be using the same pins, and if you are, go ahead and just simply plug your connector into the new receiver. On the Dial Global receiver, the first channel of the receiver are all the top connections. The second channel of the receiver are all bottom connections. So at this point, we've connected our coax cable, our Ethernet, our audio, and our relays. From there, all we need to do to finish our connections is to plug the receiver in. Welcome back. Now that we've made all of our connections to the receiver, we're ready to go ahead and configure it before we can call and get our authorization. The receiver has keypad buttons in the middle here, as well as LED displays and an LCD telling you what's going on. So what we have to do is actually connect this receiver to the internet before we call for our authorization. To do that, we'll have to set our IP address. You'll just go ahead and, using your right arrow, you click it twice and go to Unit Setup. Press Enter, right arrow, and you end up on IP Setup. I'm going to press the Enter button now. And since I made my connection, remember on the back of the receiver we had two connections, LAN settings and WAN. I'm using LAN, so I'm in the correct place. If I had connected to that upper jack, then I'll go ahead and hit the right arrow, and I'll be on WAN IP settings. But again, we're in the right place, so I'm going to hit left arrow to go right back to where I started, WAN IP settings. Press Enter. We're going to go ahead and set a static address. If I wanted to change to a DHCP, which means that your network automatically assigns an address, you press Enter, you'll notice it's flashing. Change over to DHCP and press Enter. That's all you need to do if you're going to have your network assigned here. address. You prefer static because that way you can browse to the receiver and check its operation. So we'll go ahead and press enter. Notice we're flashing. Go ahead and hit right arrow. Back to static again. Then from there, we just right arrow. And here's our IP address. We go ahead and press enter. And for each digit, you hit up or down to get the number that you want. Once completed, right arrow, go to the next digit, up and down until you have the correct address. Once you're done with all of your digits, press enter. Right arrow again, and you follow the same process for your net mask. And then right arrow and follow the same process again for your gateway. If everything is correctly configured, you should now be able to connect to the internet, and you should be able to, you'll be able to contact the Dow Global Network Operations Center 24/7 to get your receiver authorized. They will, once they authorize you, they will set your receiver to the correct channels. They'll also load any record and playbacks on your receiver that you need. To authorize your receiver, call 720-873-5177. Again, that number 720-873-5177.